Are you asking yourself if it's time to rebrand your company? I'm going to share the 7 times when that is potentially a really good idea. My name is Kate Putnam. I'm the psychology-driven brand strategist. I'm so excited that you're here with me. Press that like button, subscribe when I release new videos just like this one. So I'm pretty sure that we all know the definition of insanity, right? Like, so if you keep trying to do the same thing and expect different results, it's just not gonna happen, right? Cuckoo. So one of the things that you can change if you want different results from what you're doing is your brand. You can upgrade or reposition your brand in the market to get you different results. Now, this isn't a decision to be taken lightly because brand consistency is incredibly important, but sometimes it's a necessity. Let's talk about when it is. Before we get into the 7 reasons, let me first just talk about what exactly rebranding could mean, because it doesn't have to mean the same thing for everybody. Recently, at the time of this recording, Burberry actually dramatically rebranded. They changed their logo and their visual style really dramatically. And time will tell if it's going to make sense for them. Personally, I hate it. I think that it's the wrong move for them. They're throwing away hundreds of years of brand equity when they could have just refreshed what they had. But they're making a big splash, they're getting a lot of press for it, so maybe it will turn out to be a good thing for them. So all that to say, rebranding could mean that you're basically like starting an entirely new company. So you're taking all of the back end business assets, like your team, your, I don't know, whatever else you have on the actual business, and you're giving it a new name. You are telling people and signaling to the market that you are brand new. You're gonna serve them in a different way. You're gonna show up in a different way. Another option that isn't so drastic is that maybe you're just upgrading what you already have. And this is what I see more often with my clients. So you might not necessarily be changing your name and your entire position in the market, but you are upgrading your visuals, you're getting more clear on your messaging so that it's going to land better with your potential clients and customers. Unless you have a really terrible name, this is usually the best way to go because it helps you keep all of the brand equity that you've built so far, but then you also get to give it like a little facelift. You get to get people to pay attention again. You give them something to notice about you because you are changing the way that you show up. Okay, so now that we've talked about that, it can be either a major change where you're basically presenting yourself as a new company, or it could just be an upgrade. And remember that branding isn't just about your visuals. It's about your messages, your stories, the emotion that you're trying to get out of your clients or trying to elicit, not just visuals. We're not just talking about logos and color schemes here. We're talking about the entire identity of your business. One of the hallmarks of entrepreneurship, for me at least, is continuous evolution. And if it has been for you, you might find that you have evolved so far, that you've changed so much, that your outsides are no longer matching what is inside of either you as a founder or just the heart and soul of the company that you're running. So maybe your services have dramatically shifted, or you're changing your business model in a really dramatic way. Whatever it is, if you have that really large delta between like who you used to be and who you are now, it can be really helpful to give your brand a upgrade to make sure that it's matching what you're trying to do in the world now, not 3 years ago. So that's one reason when a rebrand makes sense. Likewise, if when you started your business, you built either the visual identity or even the messaging of your brand around something that was really trendy at the time, trends do change. And that could mean that you're looking very outdated and kind of old-fashioned at this point. If that's the case, I highly recommend that you revisit your brand strategy and come up with a new visual identity and messaging that's timeless, that isn't going to be dated in 5 years from now or 2 years from now. I always tell my clients we're building your brand on truth, not trends. You only want to adopt visual trends or like, I don't know, catchphrases into your brand if it fits, like if it's in alignment with who you are at your core. Otherwise, just know that you're going to have to update your brand identity very, very often. Okay, reason number 3 that you might be considering a rebrand, and it's a good reason, is if you need to reposition your brand in the market. So if you are dramatically raising your prices, or maybe you're offering you want to offer a really low priced offer that you haven't ever like played in that price range before, or if you're just too close for comfort within like with all of your competitors in your space, maybe you're repositioning that way. So you're repositioning your message so that you stand out from your competitors instead of being another Me Too brand. Reason number 4, when it's a good time to rebrand, is if you're reorganizing. So if you need to like simplify a bunch of different product offerings under, say, like one brand umbrella, it's a really good time to be really intentional about what that big brand stands for. Or maybe you've like acquired somebody or you're partnering with somebody else. If there's this like hodgepodge mess of like product, services, and sub-brands underneath the main brand that don't really make sense with each other, it's probably time to really look at the ecosystem of your brand to make sure that it makes sense on the brand level. Reason number 5, when it's a good reason to rebrand, is if you are extending your market into a new culture or location, and if some of your earlier decisions that were, say you started a business in the United States and then now you're extending your market into somewhere in Europe. Chances are some of the cultural norms that are prevalent in the US aren't going to be prevalent in this new place. So you have to make sure that you're not assuming that everybody there is going to be the same as all of your customers in the original location. So if you're ever extending geographically, definitely need to take a hard look at your brand to make sure that it's going to fit and be accepted in this new location. Reason number 6, when it's a good time to rebrand or at least upgrade your brand, is if you are having a hard time attracting top talent to your business. So if your employees aren't excited to work with you, I can guarantee that's also extending out to your customer experience. If you need to get your team into alignment to get it producing better results, one of the best ways that you can do that is to give them a larger vision to get excited about, to latch onto. And defining what that is may not be a rebrand. It might just be that you're articulating it better than you ever have before, but it can be wildly effective for getting all of your team on board. Okay, last. Math is hard, guys. The number 7 reason, and this is the most dangerous, so I want you to be very, very careful if this is the only reason that you're considering a rebrand. So if your sales have been stagnant, it can be tempting to throw up your hands in the air and be like, okay, we need to change everything. And your brand may or may not be the issue. It might be some other piece in the puzzle. So be careful. If the only reason that you're rebranding is because you're not selling enough, it's just dangerous. I see, for whatever reason, probably because they have the resources too, but I see design studios doing this a lot, especially like smaller agencies or like designers. They'll rebrand every single year. And I would argue that even if they're looking to like refresh or maybe, I don't know, to walk their talk or to like upgrade their brand to whatever they've learned in the last year, I think that they're hurting themselves, especially if they're changing their name every year. We don't build a blockbuster business in just a year. You need time for that to sink in. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. I cannot wait to share my next videos with you. Talk to you guys soon.